Hey, we're live, pal. Welcome everyone to the UFC 252 weigh-in show here on MMAfighting.com. It is odd that I am hosting this, considering we have the hosting extraordinaire on the site, Mike Heck, joining us. He's making his debut on the weigh-in preview show, weigh-in commentary, golf commentary, whatever you want to call it. But I figure he's done enough hosting. Maybe he wants to give his 2 cents and give his commentary to the world of mixed martial arts. So Mike is here. Casey's on site. He is our masked man over in Las Vegas. I got a break from making that drive through the 5-hour drive through the desert. So Casey gets to cover the UFC Heavyweight Championship fight of the world, which is obviously Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier, and what is being billed as the fight for the greatest heavyweight in mixed martial arts history. But we got 4 minutes. We got Wayne. So I'll start with the same question Alex K. Lee always asks me, Mike. Who misses weight at UFC 252?
Ah, what a negative answer. And it feels good to be the Bobby Heenan to your Gorilla Monsoon.
Sure.
I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm feeling so good about this event. I'm feeling so positive and upbeat about it. I'm gonna say nobody misses weight. I think we're gonna fly through this whole thing, and by 1:15 Eastern time, we're gonna be wrapped and packed. That's what I think.
Well, I can't. You might be right. We were really spoiled. We were very spoiled in Fight Island when Guilherme was out here. It feels like every single weigh-in was like 45 minutes to an hour. And then the Las Vegas card I was at, I think we waited all the way to the very end. I can't remember who missed weight, and I don't even think he fought. I don't even think they let him fight after all. So who knows? But I'm looking at this. Yeah, no one really. We got 2 heavyweight fights on the card. You don't have to worry about them. O'Malley and Vera pros. Dodson, Merab are pros. Herbert Burns and Pineda are pros. Yeah, I can't say anyone will probably miss weight. I cannot say for sure, unless someone on the early preliminary card struggles with a weight cut, but that's one heavyweight, probably not, and then the featherweight, so don't know. But if you had to bet, who comes out first, Mike? Unless Casey can see if anyone's lining up.
I see DC is the first one out.
Nope, do not see anybody right now.
Heavyweight's usually the first or last. It's not like they're cutting weight around, especially if you're over. Unless you're over him, you come out 5 minutes late.
Yeah, I think DC comes out first. Stipe's probably like 4th or 5th. Probably wants a couple extra minutes of shut eye.
Yeah.
So they're both already on, so it's not like they have to cut anything.
Yeah, you got JDS and Rosenstreak there too. The hotel is about, I don't know, 2-minute drive, and I know the UFC will probably shuttle them all. So,
I mean, JDS is like 218 right now. He's like all shredded up. He's got an 8-pack going on, slim, trim. So he'll probably be one of the early ones. Yeah, I don't see it. Like, I think everyone will be pretty much on time here. Marlon Vera, the last time he fought was at 45, so he's cutting a little bit more weight, but he wants this fight so bad. He's got that terrifying look in his eye, so he's probably going to be right on. A couple of these fights were booked last minute. Like, I don't think Jim Miller will have a problem making 55. Vince Patel, maybe. And then we had a fight booked like 2 days ago between Kai Kamaka III and Tony Kelly at 45. Right? So those two guys might struggle a little bit, but...
Is that their natural weight class? Yeah. Are these bantamweights? Okay, so these are 2 145ers.
Yeah.
People in the comment section are telling Casey to tell everyone in the background to shut up. Guys, shut up.
Hold on, let me get on stage. Just tell them to shut up.
Hey, Casey, can you do me a favor and go stand on the scale and tell everyone to shut up?
Just jump up.
May I have your attention, please?
Bang on the scale. Well, we should be starting relatively soon. It is 9 a.m. local time. Mike, I think you did commentary with me pre-MMA fighting days in Boston once, right? I think you were like a little guest spot.
Yeah, I think like between you, myself, and Oscar. Willis,
yeah.
we're kind of like jumping in and out.
That was before we had this fancy setup, though.
I know, right? That was when we could actually travel and be around each other and do all sorts of fun things.
That's when I forgot. See, living in Arizona, you forget how awful traffic is in Boston in the morning, and I completely underestimated how long it would take me to get there.
Oh, yeah, actually, you said in Somerville. Wow, Somerville.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. I took the train and I forgot the train wasn't run. That's too funny.
We don't see a lot of movement here. I thought we'd already have guys lined up ready to go.
No.
Well, I see Ashley Yoder right there.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome
here we
to
go.
the weigh-ins for UFC 252. We'll get started with the first to the scale, the strawweight Ashley Yoder.
Well, if anyone had Ashley Yoder on their bingo card, here you go.
I was way off.
Wrong gender, wrong weight class. It's a bad start for your debut, Mike.
Hey, what's AK doing right now?
Ah, how dare you.
Official weight 115 and a half for Ashley Yoder.
115 and a half for the Spider Monkey, Ashley Yoder, who I always enjoy interviewing. I think when she fought on Denver, she didn't have any cornermen or coaches there. So Rose Namajunas and Pat Barry were there to corner another one of their fighters, and they just volunteered to corner her on last-minute notice. So that's how Ashley Yoder got Rose Namajunas and Pat Barry to corner.
Daniel Pineda.
Oh, I thought
Wow.
we were gonna have
Oh, the
Cormier.
other Daniel.
Returning.
No, and,
6 years later, Daniel Pineda back in the UFC.
Official weight
146 for
146
Daniel
for
Pineda, or the Pit, Daniel Pineda. Speaking of Boston, I'm fairly certain he fought Diego Brandao on that Shogun Sonnen card, Boston, the first FS1 card.
Very
I
good.
actually think they made him remove a lot of his ankle tape during that fight. Like the referee made him take some of the tape off before entering the octagon.
That's right. I went to that event as a fan, and had a couple of libations that night, so I may not remember that as vividly as you do.
I was backstage working it.
God,
Who's
it
up?
was 7 years ago.
this is Verma.
Burma?
Is it Verma or Verna? Verna.
Burma. 15-1. I think she's pretty great. Former Invicta champ. 115 and a half.
Official weight 115 and a half for Verba Jandiroba.
Wow. Speaking of, we knew in the strawweight division, former champions, 1-1 the UFC, only lost in her career to Carla Esparza in her UFC debut, but has 12 submission wins. 12 of her 15 wins have come by submission. And for those of us asking for stop, like people who can get stoppages in that division, look no
Next to the
further
scale,
than Verna.
TJ Brown.
TJ Brown. Got all the preliminary fighters starting us off.
Contender Series alum. Had his debut, did not go so well at UFC Norfolk against Jordan Griffin. Pretty wild fight, wild start to that fight.
Oh. 146 and 3/4. Well, we're bringing out the hoop, or the curtain of the game, as we call it now. But let's see. He's got the claw mark tattoos, the cage print tattoo, the handprint tattoo. He checked all the boxes of a UFC fighter.
Yep.
Is this the unveiling of the box of shame?
They had it. They've had it on the side the last two, but I don't think they've needed it. You know, it's just 2020. We need something good to happen. Might as well be the curtain of shame.
It's like a photo booth.
Yeah.
See if this makes a difference.
I actually think they used this for the Contender Series last week, 2 weeks ago. I was at.
$146 and a half We'll wait for TJ Brown.
Will he?
146.5 for TJ Brown. I'm sure Casey will get some word on whether he'll be allowed to keep cutting.
Teammate of Bryce Mitchell.
Yes.
That he's going to take on Danny Chavez, who will be making his promotional debut. That fight's going to be action-packed between those two guys. Well, I guess my positivity did not shine through.
He still has an hour and a half to make weight. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah. He's only going to cut a half a pound, so easy for me to say sitting in my dining room.
Official weight 136 for Marlon Vera.
There you go. And I commented on Twitter that another day, another UFC fighter with silver/blonde dyed hair. As a little, I like to poke fun at all this trend going on now because I had that for the better part of 2019 into 2020. And recent winner at Bellator 243, Chris Lencioni, called me out. And I will put it on record. He was the OG, but I perfected it.
John Dodson.
John Dodson. I can't wait for this fight. Him and Merab is just going to be bananas.
I really like how this fight is on the same fight card as Marlon Vera versus Sean O'Malley because I want the winners of these two fights to fight each other.
Makes a lot of sense.
Even the losers should fight each other.
Yeah.
So you got to feel.
101.
Though you might have to throw Song Yadong in there since he did technically beat Marlon Vera last time.
136, the official weight for John Dodson.
36 for the magician, John Dodson. One of the OGs of the Jack Wink camp. Tough winner, former flyweight title challenger. Pushed Demetrius Johnson further than
Kai
Kamaka, who of course Mike alluded to at the beginning of the broadcast, said he's one of the more recent fight bookings on this card.
$145.5. 145.5, the official weight for Kai Kamaka.
5.5 for Kai Kamaka, the third. Let's not forget.
5 wins in a row for Kai Kamaka III. His most recent one was July 31st. He fought at LFA 87, and he took on one of my prospects to watch for the next couple of years. He was previously unbeaten. He's a gentleman by the name of Michael Stack, who's out in Colorado, who's just destroying everybody. And Kamaka took him out. Well, didn't take him out, but unanimous decision. But that's a big win against a really talented guy. So that got him a UFC call because I know the UFC was taking a look at Stack as well.
Vince from Hell Pichel. It's only his first. This is his first fight of 2020. He's only fought once in 2019, once in 2018, and now once in 2020. I'm sure he wants that, and then once in 2017, and before that, 3-year gap between 2014 and 2017. 156 Pichel from Hell, as his biceps say. And you got to look at his record. His only losses have been to Gregor Gillespie and Rustam Khabilov. So those are two elite wrestlers in the lightweight division. You have to wonder if Jim Miller, who has seen everything in there, fought the best of the best, is being like, well, I think I can grapple pretty well. And maybe we can go in there and toss Vince Pichel around.
Yeah, Vince is as tough as they come. There's the other newcomer, Tony Kelly.
So far, only 3 fighters on the main card have weighed in.
Tony signed with his management team like a week ago, a little more than a week ago, and then got signed to the UFC like 3 or 4 days later.
Well, give your management a bonus.
Heck yeah.
One 45.5, the official weight for Tony Kelly.
So that fight is official. Kai Kamaka III and Tony Kelly, they have both made weight.
Tony Kelly's only loss is to Kevin Aguilar at Legacy FC 57 in 2016. He took about a 3-year sabbatical from the sport for different reasons, came back in May of last year and got a first-round submission win at Rite of Passage 7. Elise Herrig, back in the octagon.
Talking about the OGs of MMA, she's one of the original, she really learned, she was one of the original viral fighters of the women division back in the day. And she's still fighting, coming off a pretty severe knee injury. If you haven't already read it, go read Damon Martin's write-up and from his interview on it. It's pretty great. Felice Herrig always wears her emotions right on her sleeve. She's fought the who's who of at 115 pounds, so it's great to see her back on the scale. 116.
You know, Jose, you mentioned how a lot of these fighters are going to the blonde style of hair.
Yeah.
Looks like Felice has veered away from that and gone to the darker hair.
Felice has always been one to hop on trends early, I'll say. So if she's usually one of the first to tackle a trend before everyone. Who's that, Parker Porter?
New England's own.
Yeah. It's a big boy.
$264.5, the official weight for Parker Porter.
So one of the bigger men on this card, Parker Porter, weighs in 1.5 pounds under, or 2.5 pounds under the limit at heavyweight. Because I saw someone in the live stream comment saying heavyweight had no weight limit, which is incorrect. You cannot weigh more than 260. Is it 266, 265? You can't weigh more. And here he is. The Sugar Show is back. I don't think we have to worry about him missing weight. Glendale, Arizona's own Sean O'Malley.
136, the official weight for Sean O'Malley.
Rocking his Ecuadorian hair, which Cheeto Vera was more than complimentary of. He said, whatever. He could do whatever he wants.
He was like, that's not necessarily Ecuador. That's like lots of different countries in South America.
It could be Colombia.
Another newcomer, Chris Dawkins, who was supposed to fight for the CFFC heavyweight title, I believe, Wednesday night.
Wow.
And then the championship fight didn't even happen on Wednesday. It was called for some reason the day before, but Chris joins his brother Kyle in the UFC.
That's where I heard that last name before. I did not even put that together. 241.
For Chris Dawkins.
So both fights on the early preliminary Fight Pass card are official. Chris Dawkins versus Parker Porter and Kai Kamaka III and Tony Kelly. All four have made weight, so the early prelim cards on UFC Fight Pass are official. I'm sure Casey Leiden will have an updated graphic, and Nesterlin, of course, there. We'll have an updated graphic for all the weigh-ins with the weights once we get a little bit of a break. Because, as you know, it's a one-man show there with Casey, so he's doing about 40 things at once, so bear with us.
Do we have a lull here?
I think we have our first break.
First little break. So let's break it down. The co-main event between Sean O'Malley and Marlon Vera is official. They have both made weight at 136. We are still waiting on Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier, Junior Dos Santos, Jairzinho Rosenstreich, Merab Deval. I can never pronounce the last name, so I'm not even going to try.
Replace the V's with W's.
Not even
Wallace Willie.
There you go, Dawalish Willie. I will never be able to say that. My mouth cannot make those syllables. Merab, Dawalish Willie. Herbert Burns has not weighed in, but Daniel Pineda has weighed in. And then other than that, the early preliminary card in UFC Fight Pass is official. Ashley Yoder has weighed in. TJ Brown has weighed in. Daniel Chavez weigh in?
No.
Daniel Chavez has not weighed in. Felice Herrig is weighing in. Verna, her opponent, had weighed in, former Invicta champ. So that fight is official, and we're still waiting on Jim Miller for his fight against Vince Pichel. But we don't have to worry about Jim Miller. He's one of those fighters that I said, I've asked him, like, what if they made a 165-pound division? He goes, I'd honestly stay at 155. I'm like the perfect size. I'm too small for 165. I'd be perfect for 155, and I'm too big for 145. So he is a natural 155. You don't have to worry about him making that weight.
Yeah.
And of course, my name's... Go ahead.
So I've seen Parker Porter fight twice live. One was after he took a 3-year layoff, fought for reality fighting at Mohegan Sun, and got a third-round, like, gritty TKO win over a guy named J.A. Dudley. But it was in June of 2008 that I got a phone call from a buddy of mine and said, hey, I'm going to some fights. I have an extra ticket in Wilmington, Massachusetts. Do you want to go? And I said,
and you're like, yeah. You're like, yes, that is the only reason I will go to Wilmington, Massachusetts.
Yeah, it's literally 5 minutes from my parents' house. So I was like, all right, I'll go. And we went and got to meet Kenny Florian and got to meet Marcus Davis there. And Parker Porter was on that card, and he took on a young man by the name of John Bones Jones on that card. So that was the first time I ever saw John Jones compete. And I had no idea who he was, but he knocked out Parker Porter in 36 seconds. And then who knew? He'd become the greatest heavyweight, the greatest fighter of all time.
Who knew?
WCF 3 was that event.
And of course, my name is Jose Youngs. That is Mike Heck. Casey Lyden is on the scene. He is masked up over in Las Vegas. He is updating the graphic with the official weights. So for those of you wondering who has weighed in, who hasn't weighed in, we will have those to you momentarily. And of course, Casey's signature countdown timer in the bottom left for those of you wondering how much time we have left to go.
Next to the scale,
Casey, there you go. Merab Dawalish. One of 2 fighters in UFC history to get 10-plus takedowns 3 different times in a fight. The only other man, that's right, Demetrius Johnson.
Official weight 136 for Merab Dawalish Willie.
4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Very excited for that fight. That is a very close-knit team, the Serra-Longo team. Alex Showing, I'm sure, is in tow. He tweets more about his teammates, specifically Merab, than any other fighter I've ever seen in their teammates. So that's a tight-knit community over on the Serra-Longo team. I am the one that broke the news to Merab that he had broken his own record for most takedowns in a bantamweight fight. If you haven't seen that clip, if you want to see pure joy and adulation from receiving news, go watch that clip. It's pretty hilarious. He literally leapt out of his chair and was like, yeah!
Jim Miller.
Jim Miller, there you go. I will say this. When we were talking about fighters that should be considered on the shortlist for a BMF title at lightweight, Jim Miller did not get enough mention. He'll fight anyone, anytime, anywhere.
I would agree with you on that one.
He's
such a good guy.
One of the few fighters Nate Diaz said, I got nothing bad to say about the guy.
156. Official weight 156 for Jim Miller.
56, Jim Miller. I was at his fight against Nate Diaz in New Jersey, and he's obviously from New Jersey. And if that was when they would do fan Q&As with the fighters, because that was the main event. And a fan goes, hey, can I walk out with someone? Any of the fighters? And everyone ignored him, and Jim Miller's like, yeah, that's okay, that's fine. So a random fan went to a fan Q&A, asked every fighter if he could walk out, and Jim Miller said yes. So that's the kind of man he is.
That's hilarious. Did he actually walk out with him? I don't remember.
What's up, Casey?
What was the weight for Miller? Sorry.
156.
Oh, thank you.
156. Yes, he did.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then
That is the best.
Nate Diaz tapped him on. It was one of the early Fox cards. I want to say UFC on Fox, like 3, 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there. And then the very next fight Nate Diaz had was against Benson Henderson. That was his number 1 contender fight. But he tapped him, got on the mic, and says, "Hey man, I had nothing bad to say about the guy. I fought him in his backyard. You got yourself a good fighter." And it was weird seeing Nate Diaz like be complimentary to a fighter. So that just shows you what kind of how his fellow fighters viewed Jim Miller.
Yeah. Very, very rare stuff for Nate. I think it was Miller and maybe Jorge Masvidal. That was pretty much it.
Yep. And even then, even Masvidal, he was still like, "This is war. Like, I don't have to hate the guy, but right now I hate him."
Yeah.
He even called out The Rock for being on Jorge Masvidal's side. The only person on Jorge Masvidal's side that Nate Diaz was not just complimentary of, but fanboyed out over was Roberto Duran was waiting there when he walked out of the octagon. And I will tell you, Roberto Duran, as a Hispanic man, is one of the icons of the sport of boxing from Panama, of course. And and at the time, Danny Segura, we were sitting next to each other when we were working that show at the weigh-ins. And there was a large group of people sitting in front of me, all speaking Spanish, and we were like kind of laughing at what they were saying. And Jorge Masvidal pointed out Roberto Duran, and all of a sudden we both looked down, and he is literally right in front of us. And we were both just like, "Oh my god!" Like, it's the only time like my body like tensed up. It's just like you watch someone your whole life growing up, and then all of a sudden they're right there in front of you, and you had no idea you were sitting next to them. It was a very surreal moment for me.
That's pretty amazing, especially because you had no one had any idea he was even going to be there either.
I had no idea. It's like we heard all this talking, and then we both looked down, and me and Danny looked at each other. We were like, "Oh my god!" Like we had like goosebumps on. It's right up there with at Maymac when I was at Fanside. Me and Mike Dice were covering that fight, and we got in an elevator, and someone stopped the elevator to get in, and this huge group of people pushed in, and I was about shoulder to shoulder with Julio Cesar Chavez, and I was like, "Whoa, this is just unreal right now."
Is Lavinia.
Lavinia Souza, and if anyone hasn't read it, go read Guillerme's piece with her from his interview with her. She is a terrifying woman.
Oh, she's my favorite.
She is amazing.
115 and a half, the official weight for Lavinia Souza.
Up here. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Former strawweight champ, lost it to Angela Hill by split decision. Picked up a fight of the night, a couple performance night bonuses down in Invicta. Her most recent loss was to Brianna Van Buren, who won one of those Phoenix Rising like one night tournaments in Invicta. I believe that was Brianna Van Buren's debut. She looked pretty phenomenal, but and if you haven't, go read Guillermo Cruz's piece with her. She calls out Mackenzie Dern, and I think her exact words were, if she stops running marathons and decides to fight me, great. But if she doesn't, I will haunt her dreams forever. Those are her words, not mine.
I think we're gonna have one half of the main event coming. 115 and a half.
Next to the scale, Jair Rosenstreich.
Oh, I was wrong.
Jair. It's Jairzinho, my friend. Also, I'll tell the story after he weighs in.
Official weight 254 for Jair Rosenstreich.
254 for Jairzinho. Biggie boy. Rosenstreich. A proud member of Team Crystal. If you haven't watched it too, Guillermo does a pretty great piece where Jairzinho is named after the soccer or football legend Jairzinho, Brazilian soccer player. And Jairzinho had no idea that Jair Rosenstreich was named after him. His parents named him after the legendary football player. So the original Jairzinho sat down with Guillermo and watched all of Jairzinho Rosenstreich's fights against Brazilians, against Arlovski, against Overeem. And it was like this, he was just blown away by how great a fighter he was. And then Guillermo showed him a video that he sent him explaining where his name came from. And the original Jairzinho was basically just bawling his eyes out. about how moved he was that this family from Suriname named their son after him. And he's like, next time he fights, I want to be there. And then the pandemic happened. So it didn't happen. It didn't end up working out. But his next fight was, of course, against Francis Ngannou in Jacksonville. Lasted less than a minute. Didn't work out for him.
Jairzinho with the rare T-shirt wearing weigh-in. I guess you got to pay the $64.99 to see the goods tomorrow night.
There you go.
He doesn't want to. I mean, JDS is all shredded up right now, so maybe he doesn't want those comparisons right now.
Jairzinho, I think, doesn't even watch his opponents at all. Like he refused to shake hands with Overeem. If you remember, he's like, "This is war," and Overeem was like, "All right, I guess we're not shaking hands."
Maybe a little break in the action, perhaps.
Lull. Looks like the entire UFC PR staff is on hand for the I've been to most of these weigh-ins in Vegas, and there is a clear difference between fight night and pay-per-view.
For sure.
For sure. There's a huge and then compared to the Contender Series, it is just night and day.
I'm so happy the Contender Series is back. I know it's not like everybody's cup of tea, but I can't get enough of it.
I absolutely love it. It is a treat to cover it live. I'm a big fan. Watching the fighters and getting to interview them backstage after getting their contracts. Though it is the old was a little hard because sometimes they'd be doing interviews with Laura Sanko and in the Tough Gym. This is pre-Apex. And they didn't know, they couldn't really hear Dana sometimes because they weren't all sitting there. I don't remember if you remember the early. And sometimes the media would have to break it to them. You didn't get a contract.
Oh, man.
That was a little off.
That's brutal.
Those were the early days of the Contender Series in the Tough Gym. And I miss the Tough Gym sometimes, the metal bleachers and the garage roll-up door and everything. But the Apex is great. The media section I'm sure they obviously took away all the bleachers around the octagon, but the media section has swivel desks in grade school. The chairs are bolted into the floor, and then they have a desk that swivels back and forth.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
You gotta love it because you get to see kind of the next wave of talent, but then you get these rare second chance stories Dustin. If you told me 3 years ago that Dustin Jacoby would be back in the UFC, I'd have been
throwing elbows too.
Yeah.
I asked him that. I'm like, "What's it like throwing elbows?" He's like, "I love it." But of course, for everyone just joining us, I'm Jose Youngs. That is Mike Heck. He normally hosts, but today he's making his debut on the weigh-in commentary show. This is the MMA Fighting UFC 252 weigh-in show. Our own Casey Lyden, cameraman, masked cameraman extraordinaire, is on the site in Las Vegas, bringing you this crystal clear footage. Of course, we'll have all the clips on YouTube and everything up after. You can go watch the press conference from yesterday between Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic. It's on our YouTube page. You can go watch Virtual Media Day. All those videos are on our preview page. Better yet, you can watch all those second and go watch between the links where I just beat down AK Lee, and then you can watch everyone else on our YouTube page. But for those of you wondering who has weighed in, who has not weighed in, Casey Lyden has this phenomenal graphic on the right with all the people that have weighed in right there and their weights. Of course, we're waiting here. TJ Brown can continue to cut weight. He came in at 146.5. We're just waiting on an update from the UFC PR staff, what the situation is there. And, of course, in the bottom left is Casey Lyden's signature countdown clock for those wondering how much time is. So you have no excuse comment section asking who has weighed in and who hasn't weighed in and how much time we have left. I'm seeing a lot of people talking about Habib. He's not fighting, so I want to know from the comment section. Sugar Sean O'Malley and Marlon Vera is official. The co-main event both came in at 136. Who wins and how? Tell us the name, how they win, and what round between Sean O'Malley and Marlon Vera in the comment section, and we'll talk about it. But who do you like in that fight, real quickly? I know we're gonna have a preview show later on. I know you're gonna break down your thoughts. What you got, Mike? And you're normally a host.
Yes.
So you don't get to give your 2 cents. So
I hate making picks. It is drop ceiling being installed down in the office downstairs, so you might hear some drilling. But it all depends. Thank you. It all depends on how long the fight goes. Like, if this fight gets midway through the second round, it's going to get super interesting because that's when Marlon Vera like really gets going. And that's when, we've seen O'Malley in these decision wins. That's when he sort of starts to slow down a little bit. We saw it in his debut. We saw it he was injured in the Sukumta fight, but Sukumta was starting to score, and then he went for that takedown, which I could not believe still to this day. But I think the longer the fight goes, the more it favors Marlon Vera. But man, it's hard to pick against O'Malley the way he's looked since taking that time off. So I favor O'Malley, but if we get to the midway point of that fight, things are going to get really interesting. I'm so excited for this one. I'm pulsing. I'm pulsing for that co-main event.
So far, the comment section is very heavily Sugar Sean TKO round 2. That seems to be the majority. I see a couple Marlon Vera decisions, which I don't think this is going to go to a decision. I see a couple Marlon Vera submissions, which I think Marlon Vera is great on the ground. I think Sugar Sean is way underrated on the ground because he hasn't shown it. I think he's good enough not to be submitted in the 3-round fight. But the majority is saying Sugar Sean, second round TKO, or Marlon Vera decision. Those seem to be the two favorites. Casey, what about you?
Ooh. You got to go O'Malley, but man, it's just a great matchup. I'm just excited. I just want to see it. I'm ready for O'Malley getting to step up in competition. So, but right now, you think O'Malley has this fight.
100%. I think this is a phenomenal matchmaking. They were previously scheduled to throw down a long time ago, before Sugar Sean had all those USADA situations, which he's obviously cleared up with tainted supplements and this and that. I imagined if going into Marlon Vera's fight against Song Yadong in Jacksonville, I was under the impression that if Cheeto had won, he would probably Sean O'Malley would be next. Came up short, very controversial. The majority of people think he won. I think that was the night of. I think Angela Hill, Claudia Gadelha was on that card. I think Dan Ige Barbosa was on that card. So there's a lot of iffy decisions on that card, and I thought for sure Song Yadong was going to sneak in there and get that Sugar Sean fight. But Marlon Vera got the fight. Sugar Sean said Marlon Vera won. He's going to treat Marlon Vera as if he won, and he's doing this as a top 10 opponent. But he technically got the L. I would like the winner of this fight, like the winner of Dodson Merab. I really would. I think that would just make the most sense. If Cody Garbrandt was still at 135, I think they would have tried to make Sugar Sean Cody Garbrandt. But Cody Garbrandt is, of course, going down to 125, challenging Davidson Figueiredo later on. And it's in November or October? November. So, but we're not even talking about that fight. No. That is so far away. Someone wants us to know that Artem Lobov will run in, Money in the Bank style, and knock out Sean O'Malley.
How awesome would that be? That'd be hilarious. See, here's why Sean O'Malley's so interesting, because when he was coming in off the Contender Series, he didn't have nearly as much fan support as he has now. I think it was probably the opposite. A lot of people were saying he's overrated, blah, 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 blah. And now that he's come back and he's running off these wins, there are not a lot of people that are giving Marlon Vera a shot here. They are very high on Sean O'Malley right now to be one of the big stars. I'm curious. And listen, if Sean O'Malley were to lose to Marlon Vera tomorrow night, let's just say he gets submitted in the 3rd round or he loses a decision, it's not the end of the world. I mean, he's a young guy. He's 12-0. Eventually, everybody loses unless you're Khabib Nurmagomedov or like a John Jones. Everyone has to suffer that loss, and you go from there. How will the fan reaction be if Sean O'Malley loses to Marlon Vera tomorrow night? Is everyone just going to completely turn on him, or are they going to say, you know what, just a bump in the road, we'll go from here? I'm really interested to see how that all plays out, if that's what goes down tomorrow night. But who knows? Sean O'Malley could do exactly what he did at UFC 250 and have a highlight reel knockout too.
I think it's going to come down to how he loses. If he gets crushed.
Hold on, Jose. I think Mr. Heck is a little gassy.
Oh no!
Oh, stop it.
That's all I
hear.
So
for those who don't know, my wife is a go-getter, and when work needs to be done, she just books it and gets it done. So we had the opportunity to get our drop ceiling installed. We were hoping it was going to be like tomorrow or through the weekend. My wife told me right before she went to work that, oh yeah, by the way, he's coming over to do the drop ceiling today. I'm like, what? I'm like, do you understand what's happening today? But so I had to move everything upstairs with like 10 minutes to spare, and here we are.
It could be worse. It could be worse than finally fixing a ceiling in a beautiful house that you own with your lovely wife and son.
That's true. That's true. The Command Center 2.0 is coming together. This drop ceiling isn't for me. It's for my kids' part of the basement. But yeah, from where this house started to where it is now, it is ridiculous. And it's because my wife just doesn't stop ever.
But going back to O'Malley, even if O'Malley loses, it's like people forget. Like, remember when Stipe lost to Stefan Struve? He got knocked out by Stefan Struve.
Yes, he did.
So like, yeah, if O'Malley loses, they're gonna crap on him. Yeah, you suck, overrated. And then his next fight, he'll come back and win, and we're back where we started. So, MMA. It's a tough fight,
It's the perfect fight.
It really is.
For both guys. Perfect for both guys.
And I also think if O'Malley wins, it'll matter how he wins. Like, if it's a 3-round just war, and like just Vera gets a split decision win, and it's like it was just like fight of the year, fight of the decade candidate, then I think Sean O'Malley will be fine. If he goes out there and lays an egg and loses about 30 seconds, it might be time to rethink the height, but I don't think that is even remotely a possibility. So I think it would depend on how he loses.
His personality, what he does out of the octagon with the video gaming, I think he markets himself so well that a lot of people can relate to him. People like to smoke some of that green stuff and eat a pizza, and Sean O'Malley talks about how delightful that is, even letting Daniel Cormier know that dirty rice tastes better when you're high.
I was rewatching Embedded yesterday because my girlfriend doesn't really like MMA, like the fighting, but she likes all like the personalities and seeing how they interact with each other. So Sean O'Malley is of course from Arizona, and his wife is like a hairstylist. So they show him going to get his hair done, like the episode when he's getting his hair dyed, and she just leaps out and she's like, "That's where I get my hair done," and she's like freaking out, and then she's like, "That's the lady that sits next to the lady that I get my hair done from." So now she's a huge Sugar Sean fan because they get their hair dyed in the same place.
That's hilarious.
That's all it takes. She's like, "I love it. I hope he wins forever." I was like, "Yep, it's pretty good."
Small world.
She was so excited. I've never seen someone more excited over someone that has their chair, because you know how in salons they have their chairs. She's like, her chair's next to my hairdresser's chair. Someone is complaining that we have wives and girlfriends in the comment section. What a very odd thing to complain about.
Come on.
Someone's like, "What is this? The girlfriend-wife talk?" I'm like, "I'm sorry."
It's the view, bro.
Oh.
Just kidding. Totally kidding.
We're still waiting on Stipe Miocic, Daniel Cormier, Junior Dos Santos, Herbert Burns, and Danny Chavez. The rest have weighed in. We're still waiting to hear if TJ Brown will continue to cut weight. He came in 146.5 ahead of his featherweight fight. I would imagine it's only half a pound, but that is much easier said than done, especially on fight night. I wasn't there close enough, but I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but the Contender Series, the guy that shaved his whole head and beard and then re-weighed in again, and then eventually his fight was scrapped anyway. He came in about 3/4 over. And when he stepped on the scale and was told he was going to get more time off, me and Kenny, the cameraman for MMA Junkie, looked at each other and we were like, "Can't." He was dry. He had nothing else to cut. He wasn't losing any more weight. So I'm obviously not there. I can't see TJ Brown, so I don't know if he can continue to cut weight. But from the outside looking in, if he gets another chance, I would imagine he can hit 146. Didn't seem like he was really sucked out and hurting on the scale.
No. That gentleman's name, by the way, is DeMonte Robinson.
Yes, that is right.
Who was supposed to fight Kenny Cross on that card, and Cross got scrapped. But it turns out Kenny Cross was originally supposed to fight a gentleman by the name of Kevin Seiler.
Yes.
And that fight's going to happen this Tuesday.
Yes.
Rebooked. But again, I love the Contender Series. I said we'd be out of here by 1:15 Eastern as far as the weigh-ins go. We were off to a good start. We only got 5 guys to go. And I'm surprised, like, the 3 heavyweights are there. Like, all they have to do is just show up and step on the scale, and they've made weight.
You say that, but then Casey remembers when we were all up at UFC 240 when we were all up at UFC 240 in Edmonton. It was me, Casey, Esther, and AK Lee, and we were doing this weigh-in show, and every fighter weighed in except for Hakeem Dawodu or Dawadu, however you pronounce the last name. He was the last one to weigh in, and he had an hour and 20 minutes, and he weighed in at 10:59. So
I remember that.
Yeah. Every fighter weighed in except for him, and he still weighed in right at the end. And then he did the little towel trick. It looks like so. Still struggled to make weight. The same as I think Brian Ortega for UFC. Was it 214? That was when he fought Moicano in Anaheim. He came in real late. His hair was all wet and everything because he was cutting weight all the way right up until he stepped on the scale.
Movement.
Who do you think? I'll ask the comment section. Who do you think comes out first, Daniel Cormier or Stipe Miocic?
We got going on.
Next to the scale, one half of our main event, Stipe Miocic.
There you go, Brandon Fitzgerald just answered that question for me.
Stipe looking
real
super
trim.
slim, yeah.
Can you do it on stage? Thank you, baby.
Official weight 233 for Stipe Miocic.
4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you, baby.
You know, that might be the best in shape Stipe I have ever seen.
2.5 pounds heavier than the last time.
And
He looks good.
I've never seen him more fit.
I pulled up like his Tapology page real quick, and the picture on there, like it's like 2 different people.
Superman glasses, man, they'll do it.
Yeah. Like the longer hair.
Yeah. Stipe is now joins the ranks of like Dustin Poirier, where it's like, why did you ever shave your head? Like, you just look better with long hair.
DC's got to be close behind, unless he's just resting up, just taking it all in. Last fight of his career.
Don't worry, Kenny. Thanks.
I wonder if Casey realizes this microphone is on.
I realize it. It's just.
Oh,
Kenny.
okay.
I just want to yell at Kenny.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Any chance to yell at Kenny, take it.
What does your shirt say, Jose? Punches and kicks. What else does it say?
It says punches and kicks and knees and elbows and takedowns. You know, just what is it? 5 food groups.
Ah, there you go. We're down to 4 now. 4 to go. 4.5.
to go, including one half of our main event, the challenger, Daniel Cormier.
Who was on weight. You said he was like in the 240s already, so.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have to worry about Daniel Cormier making weight.
Absolutely not.
Do you think he comes in heavier than Stipe, though?
Yes. I think he comes in, what was he, 233? Stipe?
Yeah, 233, I think.
I'll say he weighs at least 10 pounds more.
People in the comment section, what's your best guess on what Daniel Cormier comes in at? Casey, what do you think?
267.
What?
Daniel Cormier just pulls a Mayhem Miller and chugs a bunch of water to sleep.
I'll say 240, 243 and a half.
Stipe 233?
Yep.
Updated weight.
Casey, someone in the comment section says, "Why aren't you showing fighters?"
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. Wow, we're getting a lot of people saying around the 245 to 250 range for DC. So I'm seeing a lot of. Someone said 6,000 pounds.
That'd be something.
Just
6,000 pounds.
just 3 tons of human.
They're bringing a forklift and just dropping off.
6,000. That is hilarious.
Man, you never know.
Someone said Daniel Cormier missed weight. No, he didn't. He hasn't even weighed in yet. You can see this lovely graphic that Casey Leiden has provided for us, and a countdown timer in the bottom left, which we will name the Leiden clock.
I like it. We got what? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, and then if TJ Brown's still cutting, so it's like 4.5 to go. And Herbert Burns and Danny Chavez took these fights like super short notice.
Yeah. Oh, that's just on brand for the Burns brothers.
Yeah.
I was in Jacksonville when the Jacare fight fell out, and Gilbert Burns was there cornering Vicente Luque, and he called Sean Shelby to fight Uriah Hall at middleweight. Even though he had already had his fight against Tyron Woodley booked for the first Apex card. He's like, I'll fight Hall at 185 and then turn right around and fight Woodley at 170.
I love that guy.
Nice guy. He also served as the translator for a lot of the Brazilian fighters on the Shabazian or the Brunson Shabazian card, like Jennifer Maia, and him and Vicente Luque were acting as translators, which I actually really like fellow fighters serving as translators, especially because like when you ask them about techniques and like fight talk, they know how to phrase it so the fight and vice versa. You see a lot of translators that are provided by the UFC will sometimes, as Guilherme Cruz says, like, that's not what he said. That's
translate. Like the fighter will go on for like 95 seconds about a certain topic, and then the translator will be like, "Yes, it was a great fight," and that's it.
Yeah.
You're like, "Nah, I think you probably said a little bit more than that."
That's why we love Guilherme.
Yes. Yeah, Gilbert did a great job. So I mean, I could see him on the desk helping out with the Brazilian broadcasts in his future, no doubt about it. Even here, his English has come a long way.
I was gonna say, I think he'd be good as an English commentator.
I wonder what the commenters and the viewers think will be kind of that under the radar fight. Like you and I won't talk about it here because we'll talk about it on the preview show, I'm sure. But I wonder what the commenters think.
The commenters, what prelim fight are you most excited for? Not main card. What prelim fight?
I don't know if this is like the number one for me, but I have a suspicion that this fight's just going to be an absolute banger. Ashley Yoder and Lavinia Souza. That is going to be a lot of fun.
I'm going to answer one of the commenters, the Maffin 10, said, dumb question, but can heavyweights even miss weight? Isn't that kind of open-ended? And no, there is a limit. You can't weigh more than 266. That would be super heavyweight. So, like, you have fighters like Brock Lesnar, Derek Lewis, some of the Ben Rothwell-like fighters that will have to cut down. Mark Hunt famously did it in Mexico City on like 11 days' notice. They have to cut down to 265, 266.
Has a UFC fighter ever missed the heavyweight limit?
I don't think so. Not off the top of my head. I've seen them have to use like the towel. Like I can't remember who off the top of my head, but like I know Greg Hardy comes in right at 265. Juan Adams is way up there too.
Parker Porter was 264.5, right?
Something like that. Yeah. And then, of course, someone wants to Rob Hine on the comments said 265 if you're fighting for the belt. That is correct. You'd have to weigh championship weight, but that's for every weight class. You can't like if in lightweight, like in the co-main event, Sugar Sean and Marlon Vera could have that 1 pound gray, so they can come in at 136. If it's for the title, you got to hit 135 or under.
Still got an hour and 8 minutes plus. I don't know if we're gonna hit my number of 1:15 Eastern. UFC.com, as Alex K. Lee just sent me this message, UFC.com has Brown's weight at 146.5. So I don't know if he's still cutting. Something to note. So I don't know if that means he's done or not.
You know what? But they're at Apex. There's lots of facilities here to cut weight. So I'm sure half a pound. And he came in this early. I think guys don't miss weight by half a pound when they come in this early. I think that was just maybe just a slight difference in the scale. Oh,
yeah, he didn't look overly sucked out on the scale. So it's not like he was struggling.
Yeah.
He actually seemed surprised when he missed weight.
So we shall see what happens there.
Tao Yang wants to say Tim Sylvia missed weight outside the UFC. That is true. He came.
Was he like in the threes?
Yeah,
that one?
Tim Sylvia.
I think he weighed 6,000 pounds. Yes.
Yeah.
Tim Sylvia, one of the most disrespected heavyweight greats in MMA history.
100%. I just think it's because it was in like that dark era of the UFC where they weren't televised everywhere. And I liked Tim Sylvia. Like he's a funny, interesting guy. But the fact that he would like wear his championship belt like through the airport or like
so awesome.
And it was just so awesome, but just like, what are you doing, man? Like I can't remember who it was. Like maybe when Matt Hughes won, and like all of the that whole team like went into the octagon to celebrate, and you just see Tim Sylvia in like a cut-off T-shirt, sleeveless shirt, like faded jeans, and then it's just UFC championship around his waist. I was like, Jesus, man.
Once again, we're just disrespecting the legacy of Tim Sylvia.
Tim Sylvia's great, man. Tim Sylvia's great, but when he lost bad.
That's the problem with Tim Sylvia. He's so damn tall. When he does lose, it's a long fall, like literally. Like,
and the problem is he has a lot of great wins, but like the Mir fight, the Couture fight, the Big Nog fight, the Arlovsky fight, like he's all the famous people he lost to, he got crushed or like just beat up. So he's on the wrong end of a lot of highlights. But was a multiple-time champ, fought for the belt a whole lot.
I talk about this a lot. Like guys, even though he had a great career, but his losses were just like giant losses. I think of like I can't think of like Ryan Bader when he was in the UFC. He had a great UFC run, but his losses were like just big losses. And even Corey Anderson to an extent, a great light heavyweight, but when he loses, he just unfortunately loses big, and we just remember those. Yeah. So
I think Ryan Bader. His whole thing was he kind of put a lot of it together right when he was leaving the UFC because he trained at Power MMA. He had his own facility and everything. And like fighters will that run their own gym and our fighters, it's hard to do both because you're focusing on the business aspect of your gym and getting paid and like getting dues paid and everything and also training for a fight. Because their gym, like you could just go work out, just run the treadmill, lift weights too. It was massive. I don't know if you've ever been there. It is one of the biggest gyms I've ever seen. Eventually, the landlord of the facility, the building, increased their rent like by 200%. So they had to leave that gym ASAP, right when his UFC career was kind of petering out, and then he finally has a new location to train. And now we're seeing how good Ryan Bader could be, and I just think we missed that boat in the UFC because I think he was beating Glover until he just got caught, was a fool and ran in on Machida, should have beat Tito, no excuse. And then just got tapped by Jones. And then he himself said, because he got TKO'd by Rumble, in like 90 seconds in Jersey. He goes, why? I have no idea why I shot for that takedown. He shot that in for that takedown like 10 yards away and tried to grab an ankle, and Rumble Johnson just looked down and punched him. He goes, I have no idea why I did that. I was stupid. I think that's one of those fights that Rumble should – I'd obviously favor Rumble in a rematch, but I think that like, it's like if Askren rematches Masvidal. Masvidal's not going to knock him out in 4 seconds. I think it happens differently. Probably still win. It's not going to be as spectacular.
Yeah.
But that what is it? The hook? It was a left or right hook that Bader's been dropping people with. Like he dropped.
He kind of shoots in and throws that short left hook.
Yeah.
It's great.
King Mo and Fedor both hit like and the exact same punch, like whoop, and it clips him and then drops him. And then his Latifi knockout is an underrated knockout. Like Latifi was floor matted. He was dead in Hamburg. And then he used Lil Nog's head as a basketball in his next fight, and then hopped over to the UFC Bellator.
He's back at it a week from tonight.
Yeah, I was selfishly like, I'm glad Jared Prohaska is in the UFC because you get all these crazy fights, but I wouldn't have hated if he went to Bellator, and because you're a storyline guy. Jared Prohaska just ran through CB Dalloway on his last Ryzen fight, and that is one of Bader's main training partners and closest friends. Jared Prohaska hops over to Bellator. The champion is best friends with the guy you just destroyed. That sells itself.
That would be ridiculous. What a wild fight that would be.
It really would. But now I think Corey Anderson should fight the winner of was it Nemkov and Bader?
Yeah, sure. That's definitely the fight to make. But that's just, I mean, it depends on.
I would like Corey Anderson. I would like Corey Anderson to get a win in Bellator. I'm still not a fan of guys coming in off losses for title shots.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Unless he was like a champion, kind of coming over.
Yeah.
That's different.
I think that's going to happen, Casey, because I think they're going to try and rebook the Shet Congo Bader fight because that fight ended in like an eye poke. And Bader is still the champ, so they're gonna have to run it back. So it ended in no contest. In like 4 minutes. So there's nothing there, and the heavyweight division needs to roll on. You can't tie up the champion 2 fights in a row. So I think Bader, they might run it back with Congo if Bader beats Nemkov, and then Corey Anderson will get a fight maybe against. I have no idea. Liam McGarry, that's a fun fight.
What about babyface Timothy Johnson? Maybe he skips the line and gets a title shot. He's got that momentum going right now. Or
he does have that momentum going.
Oh, that was kind of a weird fight too with Mitrione.
But so does like.
I think that should be a no contest, to be honest.
But Congo has a win over Volkov, Javi Ayala. He has a win over Timothy Johnson. He has a win over Vitaly Minikov. Like, Congo's beating everyone. He was on like what, a 7-8 fight win streak, and then got that no contest. I think Shet Congo deserves to run it back with Bader.
That was mustache Tim Johnson, though. Not this. Not babyface Tim Johnson.
That's true.
2 different guys.
You're right.
2 different cats.
Silly me. He also technically, let's not forget, he has a win over the surging Augusto Sakai in Bellator
that's
too.
True.
Javi Ayala, who beat down Frankie Mir in Hawaii. So Shet Congo, like added, like when he fought Bader, I was like, I don't want to see that fight. And then I looked at his record, I was like, yeah, he deserves it.
It'll probably be Congo who gets it because I think Bellator is very interested in that rematch.
There's also Minikov, who was the longtime Bellator champion, had that visa issue, so he had to vacate the belt. And then when he finally got into Bellator, he was going to get a number 1 contender fight. Congo beat him, and then who did Minikov beat right after? That's right, he knocked out Timothy Johnson.
I stand by the same argument that I had for the last one.
Yeah,
not the same guy.
I'm going to go with Mike here. I mean, I'm obviously a pro mustache guy, but babyface Tim is. Yeah.
He's a bad mamma jamma.
1 hour left.
JDS and DC just milking this time, as they should, especially DC. DC should take all the time he wants to just take this all in and relax and do his thing. I wonder what JDS's official weight's gonna be, because he's looking.
I'm gonna say like 220ish.
Yeah, I'll say like 223.
Can we talk about JDS's mustache?
Of course. What would you like to say?
I mean, I'm pro mustache for everyone, every single fighter, male or female, all fighters. I'm not sure about JDS's mustache. I don't know. It kind of had that when RDA had his facial hair. I don't know. It just maybe I'm just so used to the JDS that we've known for years. I don't know. What do the people online say?
I'm not a fan.
No, yeah.
I can't say I'm a fan.
Stipe.
It's very like 40s like bodybuilder looking. Like I'm expecting him to ride to the scale like on a unicycle or something, with like a singlet on, big muscles, looking like not Nikolai Volkov. Who am I thinking of? Forget it.
Yeah.
Trying to drop old school pro wrestling knowledge.
Kind of
He looks like Sergeant Slaughter.
Nikita Koloff. That's what I meant.
That vagrant.
I didn't really have. I didn't find the right time in the press conference, but during the press conference yesterday, I actually the only question I really thought needed to be asked. I wanted to ask Stipe about his mustache and why doesn't he have it? Because we know he looks much better with hair, and we've seen him with the mustache, and it just looks wonderful. He's just a more powerful man. So, I don't know. I'll have to ask him in the post presser.
I mean, we know for a fact that hair, facial hair, whatever you want to call it, any sort of follicle hair on your head plays a factor based on our A-side live chat with Angela Hill, who says, no, she does not wear the cornrows and everything because there is a cushion on your head when you get punched with that huge afro. So don't knock the hair talk when talking about fighters.
It's all important.
I am very excited. My under the radar fight actually is Felice Herrig versus Verna Jandiroba. I am a giant fan of Jandiroba. I think actually she is the dark horse of the division.
100%.
I actually thought she lost to Carla, but only lost to Carla in the sense that how MMA is scored. I thought Verna she was more aggressive with her jiu-jitsu. She actually had Carla in tough spots, but when Carla, defended the submissions, then Carla, they kind of top control and won the round. But I really think Jandiroba is an amazing fighter, and I'm just really excited. And I'm excited to see Felice Herrig back, and I think it's a great matchup. And speaking of other Invicta fighters, go on Fight Pass and watch Livia Souza's title fight against Ayaka Hamasaki. Hamasaki and maybe the top 2 or 3 atomweights in the world went up to 115 to face Souza for the belt, and Souza just annihilated her with one of the most violent knockouts. So I suggest if you want to look up any of her highlights, hit that one up.
Any commenters give their take on their under the radar fight?
Oh, are you not hearing?
I can hear. Sorry, I muted myself because I was typing. I did. People complain when they hear clickety clack,
Right.
and as Casey knows, I am a powerful typer.
This is true. This is what you're known for. Comic books and hard typing.
Comic books and hard typing. That's funny. We're about to have some clips going out on our social media of some weigh-ins. So for those of you that don't want to scan the weigh-in stream, you can go check out our Instagram at MMA Fighting DOTCOM or at MMAfighting.com on Facebook and Twitter.
How's my audio sounding, guys? Everything good?
Crystal
Terrific.
clear.
All right.
Don't listen to the commenters saying they can't hear you.
Okay. Weirdos.
Got to wear the mask. I mean, you got no choice.
Yeah.
People may not like it and muffles the sound a little bit, but what Now what can you do?
I hope you get to go to a fight soon, Mike, because covering fights in a pandemic is interesting. I don't hate a lot of the changes they made. A lot of the change, like Casey and I talked about this when I was in Jacksonville and Esther. Some of the changes they've implemented, I hope they keep after the pandemic, like the assigned seats in media rooms. Everyone has a handheld mic, so like UFC PRs and like, oh, I'm next. Like, I don't hate a lot of the changes. I get a lot of it was made for the pandemic, so you don't have to share a mic, so everyone's 6 feet apart. But I hope some of them are implemented still after the pandemic. The Jacksonville was very eye-opening, especially at official weigh-ins, like for the like for the what was the fight? UFC 239, Jones, Thiago Santos. When me, Casey, and Esther were there, the weigh-ins are supposed to be 9 a.m. local time. Check-in is at 8. But people like to get there early because it's so in demand. I got there at 7 a.m. to check in at 8 a.m. for the weigh-in start at 9 a.m. So I like the assigned seats because that takes away all of the, I have to get there 3 hours early.
Yeah, I like that. I would say if I'm going to cover anything on location, it's probably going to be Bellator, just because I live an hour and a half from Mohegan, so. But I wonder what I just wonder what the end of the year is going to look like, the beginning of next year, and just, whether we'll have fans or not by like the middle of 2021. I don't know if we will. I'm kind of prepared for no fans for the foreseeable future. But maybe there'll be a big swing and a big change.
You know what's going to be weird? A Ryzen fight, the New Year's Eve fight with no fans. That'll be real weird.
They just have
that one in particular, yeah.
Did you see the last? I did a little audio change. Can you guys still hear me?
You're much quieter now, Casey.
Oh, no.
Like it sounds like you're whispering.
Okay, hold on. Let me change something.
I think
The wonders of live television.
That's right.
I see Helen Yee in the background, which means that Schmo is somewhere there too.
Yeah. Yeah, you were talking about Lavinia Souza's interview with Guillermo Cruz. The title of that piece is "I will haunt Mackenzie Dern's dreams if she doesn't stop running marathons to avoid me."
Yeah, you don't want to mess around with Lavinia Souza.
No, that's I can't wait. That fight with her and Yoder is just going to be a bloodbath.
Do I sound a little better, guys? Or am I still still pretty low?
It's still not great.
Do.
Lavinia, she also gave an interview with Guillermo, I think before her fight against Brianna Van Buren, and it was like, this was some shots at some fighters that she didn't name. She's like, I'm not here to sell bikinis. I'm here to break faces. And I was like, yeesh.
All right, one more time. Check
Brianna
one,
Van
check
Buren
two.
won that fight. There's a couple of fights on this card that I wouldn't mind seeing Brianna Van Buren fights on. Like the winner moved on to fight Brianna Van Buren. Like Felice Herrig, like the winner of was it Verna, Felice Herrig? I wouldn't mind seeing that fight. I know Brianna Van Buren's coming off the loss to Tisha Torres, but Brianna Van Buren's a bad woman.
I'd like to see them kind of slow her down a little bit. I mean, she's super talented, but that division is loaded right now. There's a lot of talent in that division, and I think you got to kind of build her up a little slower. Like the Tisha Torres fight was kind of cool. You're just like, oh wow, Van Buren versus Torres. Like this has to be fun, but you kind of don't realize the long-term effect of a fight like that, because Tisha only loses to like champions and former champions, like just the top of the top. So that was a tough matchup for her. So bringing her back against somebody like, I would say, like if Ashley Yoder wins tomorrow night, Yoder versus Van Buren sounds like a lot of fun to me.
Or let's have the winner of one of these fights fight my favorite fighter, Hannah Cyphers.
Who's she's fighting somebody,
She's
right?
fighting Mallory Martin.
Mallory Martin. Yeah,
that's right.
I forgot about that.
Wait, how do I sound now? I sound okay now?
So low.
God dang it. Why am I so low? Gosh darn it.
What about Maria Agapova's? Oh no, she jumped up to flyweight. She's a flyweight. I keep forgetting about that because Hannah Cyphers took that fight on flyweight.
Yeah, she's fighting too, I believe. She's got something.
One of the pound for pound best artists. She's fighting Shayna Dobson. That's a great fight.
That's a perfect fight.
Yeah,
That's perfect matchmaking right there.
That's a great fight. When I say great fight in terms of great matchmaking wise, I think that's a showcase fight for Maria Agapova. But Shayna Dobson is, you know, I think she doesn't have the greatest record, but she's no easy out.
No, she's tough. She's definitely tough. But a perfect next step, like Maria gets the win. She had a dominant performance, and then she called out Dobson. Like I thought that was just an absolutely brilliant call out. I was like, that is perfect. You're not shooting too high. Perfect next step.
You're not wrong. Shayna has what, 3-fight losing streak, I think? 2-fight losing streak? I can't remember.
Something like that. Yeah, she's got trying to remember.
I think that so Maria Agapova's only lost Tracy Cortez, if I'm not mistaken. That was the Contender Series fight.
Yeah.
I think eventually, if they ever fight again, I think that could be a completely different fight. I like Tracy. She's a very nice woman. She represents Arizona very well. She clearly won that fight. Like, that's no argument from me. Like, she clearly won that fight. I think down the road, that's another fight that could be a lot of fun when they both just continue to get better.
I'd like to see that again. Wonder when Tracy's gonna fight again.
Yeah, because I know Betch Gohea wanted to fight her. Back a while ago. Hey Casey, you can hear me now, right?
Yes, sir.
What do you think of? I was just yesterday during the press conference. I was just kind of zoning out, waiting, because they kind of started a little late. Betch Gohea just got cut. So could we see Paige Van Zandt, Betch Gohea, in bare knuckle boxing?
That is a dream matchup. You know, I mean, I thought Paulie versus Artem was the biggest fight ever in bare knuckle. I was wrong. I stand corrected. It is Betch Gohea versus Paige Van Zandt, bare knuckle.
Why not make it a triple threat and throw Beck Rawlings and bare knuckle champ already in her own right?
I was thinking that. I think you have her ringside. And
Beck
she challenges the winner.
DBZ, the rematch in a totally different sport. I think that sells too.
You just go straight to
I don't hate
the
winner of Betch Gohea versus Paige Van Zandt fight Beck Rawlings. I don't hate it either.
Well, Beck's at Bellator right now, so that can't happen, at least at the moment.
Yeah, Scott gets it.
I'm sorry to crush all the dreams around the world.
Yeah.
And then, I saw your tweet, and I'm like, this would be interesting. But then you realize that Betch Gohea probably outweighs Paige by 20 pounds.
Bare knuckle boxing, bro.
Yeah.
Open weight, bare knuckle boxing. Now you got me. Now I'm sold. I'm in. We open weight this thing. Let's do it. Something on a pole match. I'm in for that. 4 corners. Let's do it all.
Speaking of Betch, we were talking about AK is talking about Valerie Lareda as the best dancer in MMA. I think Betch Gohea gets forgotten about.
You know who else gets forgotten about? The champion fighting tomorrow. Remember his little jig after he knocked out Daniel Cormier? No one talks about that. I thought
there's a reason.
Yeah, because it was too good.
Oh.
I mean, it was textbook river dancing.
See, here's the thing. You gotta take into account everything. Heavyweight champion of the world gets revenge, changes the game plan on the fly, beats who everyone says is the greatest champion of all time, and what does he do? That's right, he busts out a jig. So all that goes into it. Come on, you gotta take into account where, when, and how, and who. Same as I think Israel Adesanya when he busted out the Shaku in the middle of Madison Square Garden. Come on, doesn't get much better than that either.
Stipe's right up there. I mean, that was pretty glorious.
No, Stipe.
It was.
Okay, I gotta work.
Next to the scale, the other half of our main event, Daniel Cormier.
There he is, Dad Bod Dan.
Everybody got the head all shaved. Ready to go. Oh, look at the face mask.
Is that his
Cormier
family?
family. That's awesome.
Oh.
I
Whoa.
hear DC. 5 seconds.
236?
36, the official weight for Daniel Cormier.
Wow.
Thank you, baby.
So he's packed on a little bit of muscle here compared to the
Yeah.
last fight, surely.
Well, his back isn't hurt anymore. He said he's finally feeling healthy. Yeah, he's ready to throw down.
230. Wow. Didn't see that one coming. What did he weigh in the last one? Pretty close. What did he weigh? 230, 236 and a half. So he's lighter than the last fight by a half a pound.
Mm-hmm.
That was way less than 6,000 pounds.
What, two to go?
You said 236. 236?
A lot of Boston representation with
Sure
the
is.
UFC broadcast team. We got Brennan Fitzgerald. John Anik will be on the call tomorrow. Oh, 3 to go. JDS, Herbert Burns, and Danny Chavez.
And then if TJ Brown decides that he can continue to make weight, I guess.
Yeah. We are over my over-under time of 1:15 by 2 minutes. So down to the final 42 minutes and change of this weigh-in. UFC 252. I mean, just think of like the next 3 main events for these pay-per-view cards. Stipe DC3, then we got Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa, and then we got Khabib versus Justin Gaethje.
Yep.
I mean, what
And
a
then-
stretch.
And we got Garbrandt Figueiredo and Valentino Maya on the same card. 2 flyweights.
And you would think December, I think we'll see Usman versus Burns by then.
I would imagine so.
And we could see John Jones. I think the light heavyweight title will be defended in December, whether it's by John Jones, if he doesn't decide to move up to heavyweight and they can't figure that one out. But it sounds like, at least from Dana White doing media yesterday, if John Jones is to defend that title, it's going to be Jones Reyes too.
Yeah.
So maybe December for that. So the December card, we could have like 3 title fights.
And if this fight is quick and say regardless of what happens tomorrow, Stipe comes out unscathed, wouldn't hate him and Francis as the main event of Usman Burns either. Like if they want to stack the rest of the cards for the rest of the year, you got a lot of chance. You got Wiley and Rose have to throw down eventually,
That's true.
or Carla if Whaley doesn't want to wait. Amanda Nunes says she's probably going to take the rest of the year off, rightfully so. I think, especially since they rebooked, they're going to rebook Alima and Holly Holm. So you'd have to assume if Alima wins, that's the number 1 contender at 135.
You say Lima?
Not Alima.
Irene.
Irene. I was thinking of Bellator.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I was still thinking of Alima Lane McFarlane when we were talking about the Bellator fighters.
Then, Volkanovski will probably have a title fight. Piotr Jan,
Yeah.
probably. I could see him and Aljo probably at the end of the year. So I don't know. I mean, good lord, there's gonna be a lot of big title fights. Like December, we might have to do 2 pay-per-views in December.
Don't hate it.
Me neither.
Don't hate it. I'm very excited. What's the fight you're most excited for the rest of the year, Mike? But that's booked. I'm not talking about potential.
I mean, it's got to be Gaethje Khabib. I mean,
Yeah.
well, God. I mean, between Izzy and Costa, but I have to go Gaethje Khabib here. Like, just because I don't know how much more we're gonna get from Khabib. Like, he's saying 2 more fights, 30. That's it. So, if there's one fight we have to see from him, it's got to be the Gaethje fight. Like, and I know a lot of people say, what about the Tony Ferguson fight? And if that happens, great. But fascination-wise and just based on styles, like, I have to see how Gaethje versus Khabib plays out, because I feel like Gaethje is just such a wild man that he can cause some fits for Khabib. I mean, I'm picking Khabib right this second, but I have no idea how that fight's gonna go.
I am so incredibly excited for Habib Gaethje.
No.
I'm just because
That's such a good one.
mostly because whatever happens, we've never seen before. Like whoever wins that fight will have to do something to the other person that's never been done by another person. Like for Habib to win, he's gonna have to hold Gaethje down and beat him up on the ground.
Yeah.
No one's ever done that. And for Gaethje to win, he's gonna have to knock Habib out and keep it standing. And both of them have the potential to do that. Only one of them will be successful, and it will be incredible. Take my money. Take my money.
I hope they add a few more fights to that card soon.
Well, it's talks that Zabit versus Yair is going to get added to that one. There's been some reports that came earlier today, which means that, because I saw Twitter kind of like talking about it, saying, "Oh, it looks like Zabit might get to a title shot without having a 5-round fight."
Yeah,
That's
it
fine.
happens.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be the perfect card to have that fight.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to see the height difference between Volkanovski and Zabit.
Right.
I wonder
Featherweight
if
is just so much fun right now. It really is. So many good. I mean, there's just so many good guys. I mean, there's like six guys right now that you can interchange all of them, and we'd watch every single fight and be very.
That's kind of
excited for
that seems to be the narrative between 125 and 170. Like there's like, and even 185 to an extent. There's like, it seems like anyone in the top 5 could fight for the title. And then light heavyweight and heavyweight kind of. There's a clear number 1 contender. Like, I think 125. It should be Perez, but whatever. Then Petr Yan could like literally throw a dart at anyone in the top 5 or 6, and I'll watch that fight. Same as featherweight, anyone in like the top 8, because I'm gonna include Josh Emmett in there. Like I would watch Emmett versus Volkanovski all day.
Hey guys, you know what?
155, same thing. 170, same thing.
Hey guys, while we have a little break, why don't we just actually roll back the replay of DC weighing in, and you want to do that? Here, hold on one moment. I think that'd be kind of cool.
I'm gonna mute myself so I can get some of these clips out. So Mike, you can take it away.
Okay.
Hold on one moment.
If you missed it.
Yeah.
Daniel Cormier.
Oh, let me get that.
There he is.
Let me get that
In
grid
the
off.
window. For the final time in his illustrious career, Daniel Cormier hits the scales. At 236 pounds even. You're looking good.
Yeah, so there we go.
Let's see, go some questions here while we wait for this to continue.
Yeah, let's. Actually, I'm gonna bring up while we wait for everyone. I'm gonna bring up the co-main event weigh-ins too.
Okay,
Let's just
we can do that.
take a peek at it too.
Just trying to find some questions as we head to. There's Marlon Cheeto Vera.
Ecuador's own.
Yes, the light hair. Great interview. What the heck with him last week. Man just wants to fight. He wants this fight badly. Just calm, cool, collected. Fist bumping with Brendan Fitzgerald. I cannot wait for that fight.
It's hard because the main event is clearly the main event, and it's like, this is the quote, like the people's main event. I think it's the Cole's main event, but like it's hard to say that when like arguably the greatest heavyweight of all time is going to be crowned tomorrow. So it's like one of those few times where, like, yes, I'm really hyped on this co-main event, and I can't wait for this to happen. I'm literally, my body is 100% ready, but, like, that main event is, I think, the main event and the people's main event.
I think, like, formulaic-wise, between main and co-main, I mean, it's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, like, because I know the UFC loves to throw, like, multiple title fights on a card and drive up those buys, but if you're only going to have one title fight, such as this is an absolutely A-plus co-main event.
That's been the theme of this trilogy between DC and Stipe. The original, like, yes, do you remember what the co-main event was for their last fight, off the top of your head?
No, actually.
Diaz Pettis.
That's right. How the hell did I forget that?
And then the fight before that was Romero Acosta. So, like, that fight card, and then they had, that whole fight card was stacked. They had Sandhagen and Sunsao, that had the debut of Cameron Worthy on that card. So that fight card had everything on it. And then the first fight, the original co-main event was supposed to be Holloway Ortega before Holloway got pulled out, and then Derek Lewis and Ngannou got bumped up, and you saw how that played out. So it's been kind of the theme for this trilogy, where they put not just a fan-friendly fight in the co-main event, but like in a high-level martial arts competition in a way farther down weight class. So it's been the theme.
Let me ask this question, since we are getting ready for a heavyweight championship fight tomorrow night. What happens to the heavyweight division? This is from Adang Ao. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. What happens to the heavyweight division if DC wins and retires? Does Miocic get into the mix to fight for the vacated belt, and who should be his opponent?
I think regardless of what happens on tomorrow, the next fight is Stipe Francis. It's just a matter of if it's Stipe defending or if it's vacate. I know Casey's shaking his fingers. I want to see the Curtis Blades fight regardless. Biggie Boy's up there too, but what are you going to say, Casey?
If Stipe loses, he sits out for a little bit. The new title, the vacant title fight, will go to Francis Ngannou, rematch with Derek Lewis.
Yeah, that would be good too, because it's unfortunate for Curtis Blades because he has 2 losses to Francis, especially that second one, because he shouldn't have taken that fight to begin with, because Francis was coming off 2 losses, and Curtis Blades was on a roll, and they fought in China, so no one watched it. Well, not a lot of people in the U.S. watched it.
We know what the co-main event would be: Stipe versus Curtis Blades.
Wait a minute,
No, I don't want to
ruin your whole argument. You said he was gonna take some time off, right?
Well, maybe not co-main for that one, but I don't think if he loses this fight, I don't think he should get a title. I don't think he should automatically get another title shot. He lost. I mean, he's lost 2 times as the title holder. I don't think that deserves to get another title shot automatically off a loss.
Did you have an issue with Frank Edgar fighting Aldo then?
Which one? Sorry?
Did you have a problem with the first Frank Edgar Aldo fight then? Is Frankie coming off back-to-back losses to Benson?
The weight class changes, and those are very controversial losses, to be serious, you know. So there were some different circumstances there. But unless Stipe loses a bad decision, then maybe he gets another title shot. If DC wins on a very close fight, that, you know, a very controversial decision, maybe Stipe should get another title shot versus Ngannou. But otherwise, I think if he loses, I think he goes back. He has to win. He needs to win a contender fight to get another title shot, in my opinion.
I think a lot of people, like, I mentioned this at the beginning of What the Heck, like, it would not surprise me if the UFC did exactly what Casey said and did Lewis and Ngannou too. And everybody immediately was like, you know, how could you even justify that? Well, it's a totally different fight now. Like, both of these guys have changed so much. Like, Ngannou was so gun-shy in that fight coming off the loss to Stipe, and then Derek Lewis was looking to counter, and he was, you know, dealing with back injuries and all this pain in his body. So, like, the fight just didn't align right. Like, the stars didn't align for it. But now you see what's happened since then, you know, with Ngannou just becoming a terror, you know, finding his range, throwing those shots, being more confident in his power once again. And then Derek Lewis slimming down, taking his nutrition, his strength and conditioning much more seriously. Just looks, both these guys are just different fighters than they were when they fought before. I don't see it happening like that again. Like I think the fight will actually happen is what we expected when it was booked the first time. So I wouldn't poo-poo that idea at all, because I think we would see a much different fight, a lot more action, in a fight that probably won't get out of the second round.
Yeah. And both fighters, Ngannou and Derek Lewis,
It would be 5 rounds too.
They are better fighters too now. They are without a doubt better versions of themselves that we saw them in the first match. Derek Lewis is a much better fighter, and Ngannou is clearly a better fighter too.
And it's weird that thinking off the top of my head, we've seen a lot more from Derek Lewis, but that's only because Francis is winning so quickly.
Right.
Like I asked Francis do you remember on the red carpet, Casey? I was like, so you come off those 2 losses, like, do you think you've shown enough for the UFC and fans that you are an improved fighter and should fight for the title? He goes, I've had 3 wins in a row in less than a minute. Like, what else? What do you want me to show? I was like, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, I was also talking to his coach so after his Jacksonville fight, and Jairzinho, his coach, obviously stuck around for a while because he had to corner a few other fighters. And I was talking to me and Oscar were talking to his coach in the airport, and he was showing us training video of Francis, and if he pulled out some of the things that they were working on, we would be talking about Francis Ngannou being like the most, well, a lot of people say it, the best heavyweight in the world. He was throwing this, they were practicing this combo, it was like overhand, uppercut, right head kick. And I was like, imagine if that's how he knocked out, if he knocked out Biggie Boy with a head kick. Instead of because go watch that fight in slow motion, his chin is like wide open. And his coach is like, I keep telling him not to do that, but like, he won. What do I tell him?
If Daniel Cormier wins tomorrow, Casey, let me start with you on this one. What are the chances that we see not Ngannou Lewis for the vacant title, Ngannou John Jones for the vacant title? Like, does this sell it now? Like, does this put it over the edge? You're saying 0? I don't think it's 0.
I do. No way. I think Dana's going to make John Jones fight Dominic Reyes, and then I think they are much more interested in Jones-Izzy that next summer rather than Jones moving up to heavyweight.
I don't think
that's my only argument. I want to see it, but I don't think the UFC is going to go for it.
I think just having it as a non-title fight, fight just out of nowhere, I understood where we all wanted to see it, of course. Like if that headlined a pay-per-view, we'd all spend $65 on it. But you know how the UFC is without having a title involved when booking fights like this. Now you have an excuse to put a title in the mix that justifies the fight to me.
I love it. I love it. Make it happen.
I like it. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I think.
I mean, it all depends on what happens. Whatever happens tomorrow night will, in my opinion, pave the way for what's next for John Jones.
He said the same thing last time when he tweeted, yeah, I'd fight him. Like, John Jones said the same, when he beat Thiago Santos, he's like, gotta have him. There you go. Got him.
And Jones. Newcomer.
Right here, Danny. 5 seconds. 5.
He makes it.
4, 3. Danny. Right here. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Chavez 3-fight winning streak. He just fought. When did he do? It wasn't long ago. It was last month. Defeated Dylan Calla, who's actually a really bright prospect at 45. That should be a fun one between him and TJ Brown. Those two are just gonna do the damn thing, get after it. It's a wild fight on paper.
I'm just gonna look and see where we have it everywhere, and then. But tell him.
Chavez, 3 wins in a row, all first-round finishes, heading into his debut.
Good shooting. I was trying to distract you.
Jose, I can't hear you.
No,
Oh, there you go.
I'm posting some excellent clips from the wonderful Alex Chavez, or as we like to call her, Cool Alex. So
Yes.
if you don't want to skim the live stream, you can head over to our social media channels or YouTube page to watch just the main and co-main event weigh-in. And then, of course, Casey will have stare downs. Casey, have you heard if there's going to be a scrum with Dana again?
Oh no, I haven't heard that actually.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't, just because we had that press conference yesterday.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's a pay-per-view, though.
This is one of those fight weeks where like I didn't even actually think about the whole Dana scrum thing because I was so just enthralled by the main event that the fact that it's like, oh, okay, Dana, yeah. But I was like, no, this is about, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's like there's so much, the fight itself is the news. So, yeah, I guess we'll see if Dana's, that'd be cool.
Yeah, there's no like Conor McGregor retiring or John Jones calling him a liar or Masvidal asking for more money. This is strictly about the title fight.
Well, he's just going to get asked about Paige Van Zandt 15 times.
Yeah, right.
So we have 23 minutes left.
AK Lee sent me a message to remind everybody that when we talk about Danny Chavez and 3 consecutive finishes, those are the first 3 finishes of his entire career. All of his wins all went to decision until these last 3 fights. So it's coming together for the MMA Masters product. The 33-year-old Colombian warrior Danny Chavez.
You love to see it.
Yes. Final 22 minutes. 2 fighters to go. I'm still shocked that JDS has not hit the scale yet. Is he trying to lose more weight? Like, what is he? We've seen what he looks like. He is.
Maybe he's shaving.
Maybe he's shaving. Yeah. Enjoying a nice breakfast. That's what happens when you lose all that weight. You can enjoy the fruits of your labor a little bit more. And then Herbert Burns still left to go, and see if TJ Brown gets time to cut that last half a pound.
I wish, like Casey, you and I are both big fans of open workouts. This card, if they did open workouts with the main co-main, those 4 fighters put on excellent open workouts.
You know what? The funniest thing, they really could do one. I mean, like the way that we're situated right now, the stage is there. They could have done it, but it's a pandemic. I don't know. I enjoy the footage we get. It's a good look, but especially guys that come out and actually do a workout.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of funny. Like it's always like when guys get to the big stage or whatever, and where they get featured in an open workout. Usually they start out like the first couple of fights, they'll put it all out there to do all these like flying triangles and stuff like that. But then as it goes on, they do less and less. Like John Jones used to do really good open workouts.
Doesn't he do it?
Now he just comes out and kind of waves.
Cejudo used to put on a really good open workout too.
Yeah, he danced. Remember, he brought up fans. He was dancing with them and everything. But then this last fight, he was just kind of
Yeah, Cowboy doesn't do an open workout either.
Cowboy used to go hard too. Yeah.
I was really disappointed that UFC 245 didn't have an open workout with Kamaru, Colby, Nunes, Jermaine, Volkanovski, and Holloway. Holloway does not do a good open workout. He's just like a quick open, like hits a couple pads, and then you have guys like Nate who just walk around smoking and flexing and everything, which is so fun. Actually, today's the 1-year anniversary of Nate doing that in Anaheim, because that was before the last Stipe decent fight. So I always like those. Robert Whitaker puts on the best open workout. Marlon Moraes puts on an excellent open workout. Yair puts on a great open workout. Fun.
Put great open workouts? 2 fighters that put great open workouts. Ronda Rousey and Conor McGregor.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
They killed it, yeah.
I think one of the most terrifying open workouts I've ever seen was Jermaine Durandamy in Brooklyn. That was at Gleason's gym. I was like, holy shnikes. That was just crushing. I mean, I was right there. Like I was like on the ring apron listening to these shots. I could feel them. And I was just like, holy smokes. And then the fight turned out to be what it was with Holly Holm, but it is what it is.
The Chicago card the one that you and I were at, Casey. I think it was UFC 238. That was Cejudo Moraes and was the main, and Valentina and Jessica I was the co-main. That one was great. Well, because Henderson didn't work out at all. I just did a Q&A, which is whatever. But Marlon was playing music, and then it was a coincidence. It wasn't planned, but the audio for the music of the speakers got cut right at the end, right when he was working out his head kicks. So it just got real quiet, and then you just hear like whack on the mitt, and I was like, whoa, like it was an accident, but I was like, I would totally pretend that was on purpose, because it was like echoing that, because it's like an old school theater, it's like Chicago theater. So that was a good one. And then Robert Whitaker, the year before, he was like working out. Robert Whitaker does like a legitimate like 45-minute workout. Like he sweats profusely. It's like that is his session that he uses. He takes advantage of it. And he's like done, and then he's gonna go do the scrum. But then right when he's walking over, like Kendrick Lamar comes on, and he like stops mid walk, and then he just starts shadow boxing for like 5 minutes, and then the song ends, and then he goes and does the scrum. So Robert Whitaker does a good workout too.
Yes.
Let's not forget Izzy. When
Izzy's just entertaining.
He did his pro wrestling stuff. He did his pro wrestling stuff.
Izzy's just entertaining, but Izzy's open workout is very methodical. Like you throw like one punch, one kick, one spinny kick. He doesn't. I like watching combinations against pads. I'll watch people hit mitts all day. Like Brian Ortega just like when he does the, what do you call it, checking the oil, when he just unloads. That's a good change of the tire. He unloads on the mitts. I really like that one. Cyborg's always good, like when she brought out BJ Penn in the mask to roll with her. That was a nice little surprise.
17 minutes to go here. No movement whatsoever.
Yeah. I don't know what's up with Herbert Burns, but I think JDS, the guy's a veteran. He knows the face-offs are right after this. Why show up 2 hours before? Just roll in, flex. Look at Jose. He's done. He's out of here. He knows when the face-off's going. He'll come back later.
He knows JDS is coming at 1:59 Eastern Time, weighing in at 210.
I heard what you guys were saying, and I just needed my coffee in my excellent MMA fighting mug.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Staying on brand with my black coffee.
I haven't gotten one of those yet, so. Pink straw, too. Didn't plan on that. Just noticed that actually 2 seconds ago.
It was really cute. You know, drinking with a pink straw, like. It was adorable. It was adorable, Mike.
Hey, Casey, can you bring up the weights again?
Yes, sir.
People are asking who is weighed in and who hasn't weighed in. So for those of you asking who's weighed in and who's not, Casey has provided this excellent graphic to keep you up to date. You can see the only people we are waiting on is Junior Dos Santos and Herbert Burns. TJ Brown came in half a pound over, so we're just waiting to find out if he'll be able to weigh in again or if he is truly done. But Casey's provided you with an update, and then the Leiden countdown in the bottom left tells you exactly how much time they have left to hit the scale. I can see a lot of people saying, oh, yeah, like people were asking specifically about DC. But if you would like, and you don't want to skim through to watch DC weigh in, you can go check out our YouTube channel or social accounts and see the main and co-main weigh in. Side by side, put together by Alex Savage, our cool Alex. So you can watch them weigh in simultaneously.
Down to the final 15 minutes.
People are really mad at you, Casey, for saying Stipe should take a fight after losing. And people really think Stipe deserves the.
Why? If DC knocks him out, you're gonna go.
Sure.
All right, that guy should fight for the title next. I don't understand it.
Well, what if he doesn't get knocked out?
Well, that's different. I'd say unless Stipe loses a kind of a super close, controversial decision, I think if you lose, he lost the title, and
if it gets out of the third round, that'll be more than enough. But if he goes out there and gets starched in one round, I could start to see your point, but I still think he gets the title shot nonetheless.
I don't get it.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, looks like we got something going on.
It seems like the UFC and Stipe are in a better place than they were definitely in Boston. Remember UFC 220? That was
Next to the scale,
crazy.
Herbert Burns.
There he is.
One half of the Burns brothers. Is there a third one?
There's an older brother, yeah.
It's an older brother.
1/3 of the
Gilbert's
Burns
actually
brothers.
in Brazil right now with his older brother. So Gilbert not in the corner of Herbert this weekend.
Herbert doesn't look very confident right now.
He doesn't look happy.
Right here, Herbert.
149 and a half, the
5,
official weight for
4,
Herbert
3,
Burns.
2, 1. Thank you, baby.
149. Was it 149 and a half?
Yep.
Yes.
149 and a half for Herbert Burns. I was reading AK Lee's Slack at the exact same time I was about to read the name. AK Lee tweeted at us, Frederick Burns, and as I was saying Herbert Burns, I was simultaneously reading AK's message, and my brain and mouth decided to work together.
That's hilarious.
Someone asked, did anyone miss weight just joining? You can see the graphic provided by Casey Lyman in a moment of all the people that have weighed in. So far, T.G. Brown and most recently Herbert Burns, who just get the scale. AK Lee's just got him. Yeah, you did. It's the one time you'll have a one-up on me.
He dunked on you this time,
he did.
Jose.
He did, so I'm going to have to dunk on him back. But he did not have a celebrity alley-oop him like me. So there you go.
JDS has to be coming. Like, he has to be.
One of the OG Nike athletes in the UFC. Him, John Jones, and Anderson Silva, I believe. Yeah, Bones knows, Spider
And our
knows.
last fighter to the scale, Junior Dos Santos.
There you go.
What does he weigh, Jose?
227.
223.
I wonder how much
you
Frederick
take
Burns is weighing.
I can do Price is Right rules and say he weighs 1 pound. That being asked about the mustache. Nope. See him? Is that him?
All right, one more time. Junior Dos Santos.
I'm saying 227.
I'll stick with my guns.
What'd you say?
223. He had 1 shoe and 1 sock on.
Right here,
238 and a half,
Up here,
the official
5,
weight for
4,
Junior
3,
Dos Santos.
2.
Wow,
Well, we were way off, but Junior Dos Santos hits the mark. And with that, everyone has weighed in. I'm sure, Casey, you haven't heard if any of the fighters that missed weight are going to have an opportunity to re-weigh in again, right?
No, we haven't got any information yet.
Right on.
Well, if we see the scale getting moved, we know.
Yeah.
I guess he should get ground until it's 9.5 minutes.
Technically, it is. What was the weight again for JDS? I'm sorry.
238 and a half? Was that what it was?
238 and a half. Thank you.
I didn't write it down, guys.
All I know is it was lighter than DC.
I know. Nick, what did she write?
JDS's weight.
238 and a half. 238 and a half.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah. Sounds good.
I'll allow it.
Right on the button.
I'll allow it.
Come on, man. Come on, man. You said he had an hour, right? It's always, is it an hour like after? And that's the question. It's an hour after.
You do an hour from when he steps on the scale.
Yeah.
That's not the rules are. It's supposed to be weigh-ins are at 9 o'clock.
Right.
2 hours.
Within that, yeah.
Weigh-ins aren't at 11.
So if you need that extra hour, you gotta wait first.
Yeah.
To give yourself that within that window. Yeah.
That's what it's supposed to be.
So maybe he didn't want to.
Trying to figure this out with TJ Brown. I mean,
Yeah.
Herbert Burns definitely not going to re-weigh in.
Yeah. Was that one of the most depressing, like most sad walks Herbert Burns had? Like he looked so just. Oh, I felt bad for him.
I tried.
Yeah.
I knew he wasn't gonna make it. Just the body language when he was walking up.
You kind of remind me of
So
Michael
now
Cera.
that everyone is
Oh,
weighed in, and we're still waiting on stare downs and more information, we asked about the co-main event. So for the commenters, main event, who wins and how? Right, the name, the method, the round. You let us know.
He's not weighing back in, Coach?
Someone's saying don't
Kenny,
shoot the
was
mic.
it
I
TJ
don't
Brown
think
not
anyone
weighing
here is
in?
eating.
We don't know the details of it.
Okay. Did you guys hear that? TJ Brown is not weighing in, so weigh-ins are now complete.
No one else is weighing in? There you have it.
3/4 of a pound?
Half a pound. So those are our official weigh-ins right here, guys.
Wow. I'm seeing a lot of our commenters say Daniel Cormier by 3rd round TKO.
Kenny, I like the setup, dude. You get a new Sony rig?
Not Shaq.
Hooray! Hooray!
Hip hip.
Yeah.
I have seen a lot of DC. It's pretty split 50-50 with Stipe and DC, but the majority are saying whoever wins 3rd round TKO. So either Stipe 3rd round TKO or DC 3rd round TKO. Very few decisions. Saw 1 or 2 DC by submission. Saw a few Stipe KO 4th round, not TKO. O'Malley 1st round KO.
All good. All good, man. How's it feel?
A lot of 3rd round TKOs, but it seems pretty 50-50 on the main event.
It's just such a good fight.
It
It's
is.
just such a good fight.
Yeah, nothing you can take off.
And the co-main is such a fight too. Like people are sleeping on Marlon Vera, big time.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's a very competitive fight. I mean, I'm just picking O'Malley, but it's not like if Vera wins, I'm not gonna go what?
So that's the only thing. Mike talked to me about power. They don't have a cable long enough. He's got something back. So
Okay, so we will be staying live, guys, the whole
I think
time.
we are planning on, and I don't want to
For
speak
the
for Casey,
face-offs?
but I think we're planning on staying live for the official stare downs.
Yes.
Normally, like in the Vegas cards that I go to, if the weigh-ins are so quickly, the stare downs will still be at 11, regardless of how quickly because that's a Dana thing. They're waiting for Dana White to show up. But fights that are normally cutting it this close to the 11 o'clock local time cutoff time, we normally stay live for stare downs. So I'm going to assume we're going to stay live, but I would like to see as well.
Will we have any
Dust ups?
Not a fun.
Any dusty? Yeah. Any dust ups? Any Is Dana White gonna have to work a little harder to stay in
I
between
think-
a couple of fighters?
O'Malley and Cheeto, not because they hate each other, but Sugar Sean likes to get in there real close. He did it with Eddie Wineland. They shook hands and then they got real close. I think Dana's just gonna kind of put a hand in there, but I don't think it's gonna be a shoving or anything. And then
Olivia
Sousa?
Sousa. Yeah. I was
Ashley
thinking the same
York.
thing. Yeah.
could get a little close. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's possible.
Please, Herrick, that it's real tight on fighters too.
I bet Dawkins and Parker Porter gets real close.
That's
Those New England guys, very territorial. They want to prove that their region is better, especially when we're talking about Northeast times. So, when we talk about CES versus CFFC, these guys take those things pretty seriously.
Someone says Joe is gonna win by first round.
I'm with you. I'm like,
All right,
What?
Joe, first round.
Joe?
Yeah. Just Joe.
All right. Just Joe.
Oh, he wanted us to know Joe means Joe Mama.
All right. Well, it's better than the other one we see on Twitter all the time, the Phillip one. You seen that one?
No, I haven't seen
Okay.
that one.
Yeah. Don't fall for it. If someone asks you what about Phillip on Twitter, do not respond.
I will 100% will not.
Don't do it.
But speaking of your CFFC and all that stuff, the last Phoenix card when I believe it was Aljo and Jimmy Rivera fought. They were both CFFC champions, both bantamweight champs, and I think Aljo left and then Rivera won, or vice versa.
I think Aljo got there first.
So Aljo vacated the belt and then Jimmy Rivera won it next.
I don't know.
I can't remember exact
Both
details
guys told
off-
me the history. So
Yeah.
I know, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But that fight between those two guys was supposed to happen like a
1,000
dozen times.
Yeah, and I thought it was very bizarre that they had that fight in Phoenix.
Me too. Yeah. I would agree with that.
I mean,
When was that on the calendar year? The Phoenix card. February? Yeah. I would have liked to have seen that like having that fight at like 244.
No, it should have been. The month before was the Brooklyn card.
Was the what?
Brooklyn card. One
Oh
month
yeah.
before.
1,000,000%.
Should have, because the first Brooklyn card was the first ESPN Plus card, and then the Phoenix card was the first ESPN card. So I get they probably wanted Rivera Sterling on ESPN because that fight rules. Should have been in Brooklyn.
Yes. I would have loved to see, yeah, it's just the story of Aljamain is just phenomenal. Like the way he's been able to bounce back from some of those losses and the Marias, I mean, the flying knee that he took and got knocked out cold, like
Sitting on, and
what
I'm
he's
not.
done since then is wild.
I'm not going to say who it is, but I went to the grand opening of, at the time, Power MMA Fitness New York, which has since become the Sarah Longo gym, or Longo on Long Island. They've renamed it and rebranded. A young upstart named Aljamain Sterling was working out there. Like he wasn't even in the UFC yet. So I have like video footage of him just crushing pads with Ray Long. And I tweeted so after he made his UFC debut, I can't remember who it was. I tweeted future champ. This guy has the makings of a future UFC champion. And I will not say who it was, but a fellow journalist was like, no, never. I'll never be champ. I've been sitting on that. I haven't forgotten.
If he fights Piotr Jan and becomes the champion, will you reveal who this journalist is?
I will.
Publicly on Twitter so we can all see it?
100%.
All right.
I'll even say he's there in Vegas right now covering this fight.
Okay.
It's not Casey. I'm not going to tell you who it is. It's not Casey. I'll tell you that much. Doesn't work for the site.
Okay. I think I know who it is. Well, yeah, I think I know.
If Aljo wins, I will say it. It's not like we've since talked about it and we think it's funny because he wasn't being rude or anything.
Right.
I was just like a young journalist, and he was like this. He had at the time he was like established too. So it's just fun. Something we've joked about going forward.
I'm not exactly sure. They don't even let me know. They just show up.
We're awaiting the face-offs. Here's, I guess TJ Brown will not be cutting that extra half a pound.
No, they told him, yeah. Sorry, they informed us a couple minutes ago. He is good.
See how percentages were with the purses.
And for those of you who don't want to skim through, again, you can go to our Instagram at MMA Fighting, DOTCOM, at MMA Fighting on Twitter, or at facebook.com/MMA Fighting. On any of those social channels, if you want to watch just the main or just the co-main event, our video editor extraordinaire, cool Alex Savis, has whipped together some clips so you can watch the main and co-main weigh-in simultaneously. So you don't have to skim through to find out what's what. But if you just want to know the weights, Casey Leiden has them right there on the screen for you. You can see everyone weighed in. Herbert Burns and TJ Brown came in overweight. We're just waiting on what will be fined, as Mike has his ceiling or roof or whatever it was worked on.
The drop ceiling.
Sure.
At least it's like every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's not like constant.
It's not the end of the world.
Nah. I just mute the mic when I hear the beginning of it. So I would assume TJ Brown will be giving up 20%. Burns might be a little bit more.
30 usually seems to be the trend right now.
Yeah.
And of course, right now you can re-watch the replay of Daniel Cormier hitting the scale for the last time of his mixed martial arts career.
Face mask of the year.
Face mask of the year, for sure. There he is, champ, former champ.
It's crazy to think that this man has done all that he has done in the sport. He has the opportunity to leave MMA as the baddest man on the planet, the UFC heavyweight champion. And it's crazy to think that he hasn't even begun to even come near the professional success he is most likely to have.
People got on his case in our comment section because we posted a clip of him saying if he wins the championship and rides off into the sunset, that would put him in the same category as like the Michael Jordans, the Peyton Mannings of the world. And I don't think he's calling himself the greatest fighter of all time. I don't think that's what he meant. I think he's more categorized himself as those two individuals won the title and then retired on top. Like he could have said Michael Strahan. He could have said Ray Bork. He could have said he could have said who was it? Carlos Beltran of the Houston Astros. Brian McCann, I think, might have retired too. Who knows? But any of those, I don't think he was comparing himself to Jordan. He actually, in a fun story, I interviewed him about that. He compared John Jones to Michael Jordan, and Daniel Cormier called himself the Hakeem Olajuwon of MMA, where John Jones went away for 2 years, and Daniel Cormier won the championship.
That's a pretty. Hakeem's a pretty good one.
He's obviously a Rockets fan because it's the closest to then, because Houston and New Orleans were so close.
Yeah.
At the time, they didn't have the New Orleans Pelicans when he was growing up. It was still the Charlotte Hornets too, so it wasn't the New Orleans Hornets. And that interview to this day is one of my favorite interviews I ever done. It was a one-on-one interview with him, and it was in a restaurant. And I was so excited about the interview that I immediately ran over, sat down at a table, and started to edit it. And a waiter bumped my memory chip reader during the import, and the entire file got corrupted before I could see the light of day.
Oh, man.
That is my horror story of video editing.
Wow.
And then at that point, I turned around and DC was gone.
Oh, no.
Yep. That was my one big horror story moment. Outside of forgetting my XLR adapter in Jacksonville, those two are my two biggest mishaps in video editing wise.
Yeah, I went to Brooklyn I think that was like my first pay-per-view that I ever covered. And I did everything by myself. Like drove up, paid for everything myself, and I had everything. I was so organized. And then I forgot like a memory card. And I was like, shoot. And then I remember being like the night I left, I had to leave for Brooklyn the night before because a massive snowstorm was about to happen. And I got out there, got to the hotel like 3:30 in the morning, and then I woke up and there was like 2 feet of snow on the ground. So even driving to find said memory card at like at a Best Buy or something, impossible because you couldn't drive anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, there was I don't want to throw him under the bus, but there was another media member in Brooklyn who just forgot his Jacksonville, who forgot his entire tripod. He just had his camera and gear and everything, and just had to go buy a flimsy tripod from Best Buy, and it looked like it was going to collapse at any moment, but he got it done nonetheless. So, you always have those things.
Yes, and I was pre-MMA fighting. I was blessed to have some help from MMA fighting at UFC 244 because my tripod broke during the Darren Till scrum.
That's right.
After The Rock showed up and announced that he was doing a Mark Kerr movie, Darren Till showed up like way later and sat on stage and did a scrum, and my tripod just snapped because one of the security guys at the arena just like knocked it over, leg just snapped in half, and he like didn't care, just walked away.
Let's not forget when you and I did the preview show in Boston before fighting. I texted Casey and Esther a picture of this too. We did it in the middle of a windstorm, and right after my tripod fell over and both legs snapped.
Oh my God.
So luckily, I cannot remember, Tommy, our freelance photographer at the time, lent me a tripod. But we both had tripod malfunctions the day before fights.
That was a crazy preview show.
Yeah, because the wind, if you go back and watch that, you can see the trees are basically horizontal in the background. There's so much wind.
October in Boston doesn't get any better. It was great. Right on that courtyard. And I remember like right before we hit record, or maybe it was like right when we started the first time, the door that we came out of, just like the wind just slammed it open. Like I can understand the wind slamming a door closed, but actually like pulling a door open and smacking against the wall, that was some crazy ghost stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, that was a fun time. That was a fun week.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was October, huh? That seems like yesterday, but it was so long ago.
Yeah, it was that ended up being a really good fight card.
Yeah. It really was.
I
wasn't a big fan of the open workout setup because we were kind of in the back, so they were all working out like towards the fans because it was in a boxing ring. So like we were shooting from like across a ring while they all worked out. I didn't really like that setup, but I liked it being in that gym.
Peter Welch's, yeah. I mean, there's like certain places you go and you just walk in and you just feel the work that has been done there over the years. And Peter Welch's gym is probably like just the smell of it all. You're just like, man, there has been some work done in this place.
Was that the first card in Boston since UFC 220?
Yes.
And you and I tackled that one at Fanside.
Yes. That was the first time we met face to face.
That was the first time you interviewed DC. I remember that very vividly.
He was pissed about the NFL playoffs.
Yep.
Because
he was giving you a hard time about comparing Fenway to Madison Square Garden.
Oh no, the TD Garden. I was like, he goes, oh, it's gonna be cool, but listen, they're not the same. I'm like, I'm not saying they're the same. I'm like, we're talking about like lineage and championship history. Oh no, I get it. But he was like, I got a whole new appreciation for DC doing that conversation because that man looked rough. He was trying to cut to 205. He looked
in January in Boston. Yes. It's not like you can go outside and get a good sweat on.
8 degrees outside at Fenway Park. He's just sitting there. His mouth is dry. Volkan Ozdemir and him are yelling back and forth at each other. And he's still like, the spirits were high. He had a smile on his face. He answered every question. He had a good time with it. And I was just like, man, he must have physically just been so miserable sitting there, but you would never know it.
That had Shane Burgos, Calvin Kattar on that card. That was a good fight.
Oh, great fight.
I think Charles Rosa and Kyle Bochniak was on that card.
No, that was
oh no, that was that was Dillashaw Cruz.
Yes.
That was also in Boston.
I remember that week vividly because Bochniak getting that call on like 4 days notice was just huge for the area. And to fight a guy that like grew up in New England that like Bochniak knew and had trained with before, just, and that fight was crazy. That was a really good fight between those two guys.
It was. Charles Rosa has the most wins in the TD Garden.
He does.
He only has one UFC win outside of Boston.
That was his last one.
Yeah, and it was because it was in Vegas. Yeah. I wanted after his fight in Boston, the Weidman Reyes fight, I asked him, and he wanted to fight Kron Gracie real bad, and he kind of sold me on that fight, and it'll probably never happen. He just wanted to show that he had the best grappling.
I mean, that would have been a good one to draw after. I don't know
how
much the UFC would want to do it after the Bryce Mitchell fight, but who did I want to see? Who did I pick Charles Rosa to fight next? God, who was it?
There was another one I had thought of too, but I can't remember.
I have to remember off the top of my head. Me and AK do the On to the Next One show. There was a guy that fought like within the last month that got a win.
I wanted Amir Khan to fight Rosa.
Oh yeah, that was a good one too.
I really wanted that one.
Let's see. I think it was the Brunson Shabazzian one. Let me see who it was. We'll find it.
Oh, Joe, look at that. Swoop.
Jamal Emmers, that's who it was.
It's a good fight.
Al, you going to stay there? Or you want to scoot over? Yeah? Do you want to just bear with
Although Yusuf Zalal versus Charles Rose would be a lot of fun too.
It would be.
They are lining up the fighters, gentlemen.
No.
Oh, here we go.
I am excited. So, Casey, who do you think we get any dust-ups today between fighters?
I would be disappointed if Miss Souza doesn't get all.
That's the one just saying. I think the two female fights on the prelims could be the ones that get a little intense.
I think Kamaka and Kelly are going to be just very excited that they're in the UFC and they got it on like 4 days notice. I think Dawkins and Porter are going to get pretty close.
Oh, look at that.
But I agree. I think the women are.
They actually tell them not to pose.
The highest potential for dust up.
I never understood that. The UFC production guys telling the guys they don't have to pose. What are we doing here then, guys? Come on.
No, let them pose.
Oh, why isn't that logo not moving?
There we go.
It's in there. Yeah. Oh, no, it's up there. I was just going to go for a quick double check. Should be fine.
All right, everybody, here we go. UFC 252, Miocic versus Cormier 3 coming up tomorrow right here at the UFC Apex. Who else but Dana White to stare these guys down? The prelims get started on ESPN and UFC Fight Pass 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Our first bout's in the featherweight division. Kai Kamaka takes on Tony Kelly.
Oh.
There you go.
Our next bout is in the heavyweight division. Chris Dawkins takes on Parker Porter. Continuing on with the ESPN prelims. Up next, we're in the women's strawweight division. Ashley Yoder takes on Lavinia Souza. Up next in the featherweight division, TJ Brown takes on Danny Chavez. Up next, another strawweight bout, Felice Herrig takes on Verna Jandiroba. And our featured prelim is in the lightweight division, featuring veterans Jim Miller and Vince Pichel. Our UFC 252 main card kicks off 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, only through ESPN Plus on pay-per-view. Starting things off in bantamweight, John Dodson takes on Marab Dawalish-Willie. Up next, we're in the featherweight division. Herbert Burns takes on Daniel Pineda. Up next, top 10 heavyweights. The former champion Junior Dos Santos takes on 6th ranked Jairzinho Biggie Boy Rosenstruik. Our co-main event is at bantamweight. Sugar Sean O'Malley takes on Marlon Chito Vera. And our main event in the heavyweight division, 5 rounds with the UFC Heavyweight Championship on the line between the champion, Stipe Miocic, taking on the former 2-division champion, Daniel Cormier. Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier. Our UFC 252 main event. We'll see you tomorrow night on ESPN+.
Well, there you have it, folks. Stare downs are done. Nothing real. No real dust ups. Of course, Sugar Sean and Marlon Bear getting real close. Lavinia Susan, Ashley Yoder getting real close. So the usual what we expected, but no real dust ups. But that'll be it for the MMA fighting team. We'll have a preview show coming later. I'm Jose. That's Mike. Casey's on the scene. Thank you for sticking with us for basically 2.5 hours during these weigh-ins and during these official weigh-ins and stare downs. Go check out the rest of the videos on our YouTube page. But we'll see you back here for the preview show later on. We're out.